You are now checked into Let's Talk Books Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Books Radio. My name is Stephanie Allen. I am Editor-in-Chief and Publisher of BLF Press, and with me tonight is Lauren Sherrill of Resolute Publishing and Crystal Smith. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Hello.
So we are going to just jump right in with the questions. So, Crystal, I've been reading some of your work, and it is good.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. So, get at me. I read that the other night, and I have a couple of questions.
Ask away.
So you raised some interesting themes in Get At Me, and one of the things I thought about was getting over past hurt to move forward with your life, and I think that was really kind of cool. One of the other things that kind of struck me was that of entitlement, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it seems to me that CJ couldn't leave well enough alone, and that she just assumed that Fatima owed her something because, you know, she was cute and she was sexy and she was playing ball and all that kind of stuff. So initially that kind of got on my nerves a little bit, and then I kind of got mad. I'm like, wait a minute, now is this street harassment? What's going on here? And so I like studs as much as the next person. Just put that out there. But she did seem to be a little bit arrogant, and that she felt like Fatima owed her something. So based on the time that we're living in right now, particularly in terms of women being harassed, you know, when they don't show interest in the woman in Pittsburgh who was killed just recently, you know, I'm wondering, you know, about this character who seems to personify male privilege, even though, you know, she's a woman. You know, so that was just something that kind of struck me, really just kind of based on what's been going on in the news here lately.
Yeah, you know, thinking back to that story, she definitely kind of behaved a little bit jerky. Like, she was definitely entitled. Fatima came into her, you know, her community center, and as much as she tried to play it off as, oh, I'm just being friendly, yeah, that is kind of, you know, she didn't take no for an answer. As far as like trying to get to know her, we see that all the time. I see that all the time. I've had to deal with that, and just dependent on the day, it's, you know, dependent on how the person reacts. It could be a good situation like it was in the story, or it could be detrimental. So yeah, I don't think I did that consciously. But as women, that's a part of my life. That's a part of, you know, I'm sure you guys have experienced that as well. So, yes, maybe on a subconscious level, you know, CJ was behaving like that because I see that on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think we all know that person. We've all met her, possibly dated her, you know, so she seemed familiar in that way, which was really a great thing in terms of the character, but I think just in terms of her behavior initially. And I thought, I said, it's only like 2 days. I mean, like, she just met her, just raise up, give her a minute, you know, let her breathe, you know. So, and that's kind of what I was thinking and feeling as I was reading and getting increasingly frustrated, thinking, you know, she doesn't owe you a smile. She doesn't have to tell you that you're cute. I mean, come on, you're fishing. You know, so I just thought that was really interesting. So it was playful at first, which I got, that kind of banter, you know, which is kind of fun. And then after a while, it just seemed to go somewhere else. And I just really started going toward, you know, those issues that we as women have in terms of, you know, men and sometimes women just can't take no for an answer. And that leaves us in a really precarious situation sometimes. So I think that's a really great, maybe even if you weren't doing it intentionally, a great point to kind of think about in terms of how we interact with each other, you know, in terms of, are we trying to get to know a person, or are we just trying to, you know, get attention from them because we just want it, you know. So
exactly.
So thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit by bringing up one of your other short stories titled Gina's Do-Over. Well, you know, I have a question for you, but first I want to say that I really like the story. I like where you went with it. Girl, let me tell you, it was steamy.
I clutched my pearls. I did.
Right. I was just about to say, Stephanie, she clutched her pearls, right?
Yes,
so yeah,
those pearls.
Right. So definitely, you know, if there's a reader out there who wants somebody to really, you know, kind of turn up the heat, definitely get your hand Gina's Do-Over. Reading Get At Me, Gina's Do-Over. You have other short stories as well. I'm thinking, close to 10. and then we'll talk about the ones that you have in Let's Talk. But do you have any plans to do anything a little bit longer? Like, what's up your sleeve?
Yes, I would love to churn out a novel. I'm definitely a novella kind of girl, a short story kind of writer. I think it's because I like my characters so much, and I think there's a little bit of fear that if I keep going, I'm going to ruin them, or I'm going to get sick of them. I think a lot of writers have that same issue. But I'm definitely working on longer pieces because I know people do want to read longer pieces. And the process. It takes time to flesh out their character, their backstories and their histories, and think about how different characters are going to work together. I'm definitely thinking in the long term as far as novels and what have you, and not just erotica and not just romance. I love all genres. I'm definitely working towards that goal.
Right. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I'm telling you, when I was reading Gina's Do-Over, one thing I kept saying to myself is that I want to know how these two main characters met because I don't want to give away too much in the story. But I wanted so much of their backstory. I wanted to know what brought them together. I know that she loves, and I'll just go ahead and say Shonda. I know that they loved each other, but I wanted to know how they got there, which I think would have been an interesting juxtaposition against the other backstory we'll be getting when the other two characters were in college, Okay. Yeah, girl. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to go there. Definitely go there.
I haven't thought about that. That's one of my favorite stories, and the Shonda character is so strong and so supportive. I think that's a really wonderful idea. Maybe I should, look at those characters and see, okay, how did they meet? Maybe ask myself some questions and flesh out that story.
Yeah, I would have liked that one, too, in terms of Shonda and Gina. And honestly, I'm not as interested in where they were but where they're going because I know, and I don't want to give it away either, but the ending was, it was good, right? And so, but still left it still left questions, so what's really going to happen next? Are they really, and so I don't want to give it away, and even though a part of me really does, but I'm going to just let it go. But I want to know what happens next, I want to know where they're going next. And so I think that was also a story that I really just want a little bit more of. And so, if you're thinking about, expanding that one or turning that into a longer piece, you've got some readers right here who are interested in that.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I guess a follow-up question to Lawrence, and I guess it's connected on some level, but in terms of Gina's Do-Over, one of the things that I thought was really interesting about that story, that it really reminded me a lot of Pariah, the situation with Gina and her friend, whose name I just lost out of my head right now. But that whole idea of, she's coming out, she's, figuring out her sexual orientation or sexuality, and then her friend is just, she's playing. She's having a good time. And that's it, I don't want anybody to know that we're gay, you can't tell anybody, that kind of stuff. And it just really reminded me of Pariah and that whole theme of you figuring yourself out where this other person is actually rejecting that stuff that you've just come into, So I think that's also a theme that kind of probably will resonate with your other readers, and so I was wondering if that connection had actually come to you as you were writing or even after the fact.
It hadn't. I was just thinking about all those mean girls that they get what they want and then they just kind of look, I don't need you anymore, or you're only good for this. And don't tell anybody we're making out. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking of.
I want to pop her one. I'm not about balance, but I just wanted to. Girl, are you serious? Did you just say that to her right after this? No, don't do that.
I know, not sensitive. She just gave you the best orgasm of your life, and you're just whatevs.
I definitely, one thing I want to tell you is that I really appreciate, just from what I've read so far, I've, had the opportunity to read 4 of your short stories, one thing I really appreciate about your writing is that you're willing to explore those different characters and approach different things, even different genres. I mean, there's romance and there's erotica. There's a bit of like women's split in there. The ones that you introduced in Let's Talk, some fantasy. So I just really appreciate the fact that you kind of explore different avenues with these characters.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes I feel a little disjointed, like, oh, I'm writing over here, but I want to write over here also, and I just have to turn off those voices and be like, it's okay, just write what you want to write. And you'll find your people, you'll find the people who are in this genre or what have you. So I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes it does feel a little, oh, what am I doing? Like, what genre is going to define me, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm so glad you said that.
Right. Well, it's kind of the beauty of a short story. I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be. Now, if you do all it in one book, well, that's a different conversation. But yeah. You definitely have that freedom when you're writing, short stories and really delving into those characters and really bringing them to life. So it's a good thing.
So fun.
Yeah, and lots of authors cross over. I was just thinking about Walter Mosley and some other folks who, become known for one genre and then do something else, So his work is mostly long form, but just in terms of, we have more than one story to tell, and sometimes it may be science fiction, and sometimes it might be romance, sometimes it might be literary fiction. So, I think one of the, downfalls of, traditional publishing is that once you're pigeonholed into one genre, then people don't want you to do anything else. And so you have to go, and so the beauty of being able to, do indies or, figure some other things out is that you can actually publish what you want, or you can write what you want and then still get that work out there to your readers who, if they enjoy you, they'll follow you. They may wonder, okay, what you're doing this Western for, but most of the time, they'll stick with you because they trust you as a writer, and I think that's what's important,
Yeah, building that connection between your readers. Like you said, they trust you as a writer. They want to go where you're going. They want to see what you're seeing. They don't, they don't care what you call it. They just want to go there with you. That's excellent.
Right. So I want to go back to Fatima and Get At Me, because that story just stuck with me a little bit. And I did read the other one, but I'm actually interested in that. Because I think what I liked about it the most was that you brought up a couple of different things, and I think the other thing that I kind of pulled from that was that Fatima was working on her issues with her art, that scene where she's, frantically painting and trying to get everything finished up, and she's really just working through her stuff. And then she kind of goes back to CJ and kind of has that conversation with her. But one of the things I kind of thought about, was that, was she really ready to move forward, because it just seemed as though she was still kind of struggling with her issues. And so for me, I made a connection to people are always asking me for relationship advice. Don't ask me why, but they do. So one of the things that I thought about was, why don't we give ourselves more time to heal? What's the rush? So, I'm wondering, Fatima seems to be in a place where she's trying to work some things out. Maybe she's not quite ready for CJ, which is okay, But then she kind of pushes herself to go there, partly because CJ won't let it go,
Right.
So just your thoughts on the characters as well as in real life, why is it that we just can't give ourselves that time so that we actually are ready when that person comes along that's attracted to us and we're attracted to them, we can just go for it, as opposed to trying to deal with our stuff at the same time.
Right. Oh gosh, that's such a good question. I think if I look at myself, I think sometimes I have this habit of saying, "Oh, you should have known better," and so that puts strain on like a new situation while you're still kind of backpedaling in your mind about like what you should have done. Well, the moment's already passed. We don't give ourselves that, like, okay, it didn't turn out the way we thought it was going to, let's take the next step. No, we like to wallow in as well. And sometimes we drag other people into that. And so I think with Fatima, her character, I think she was still kind of spinning her wheels about her past relationship, even though CJ may have been looking good to her. She wasn't sure. She didn't want to go through that same situation again. But it's funny because lessons come back around to us. We do the same thing until we actually get the lesson. And I have to tell myself that too. Like, okay, this is coming back around for a reason because you didn't get it the first time.
Right.
So I think we do that. We just kind of wallow in that, and we try to save face, and we try to blame ourselves instead of being like, oh crap, okay, this is what happened. And I need to, look at it from a different perspective. Yeah, we bring certain expectations to a situation, and when it doesn't turn out, we bring on the guilt, and then we're like, okay, I'm just going to get over it, but we're really not, and that's hard. That's real life, and it's difficult. We have to slow down, and we have to tell ourselves, okay, well, I got to learn this lesson, so I'm going to learn this lesson. We don't always do that.
Yeah, that's why, Fatima has seen kind of that final scene where she kind of pulls, CJ to her. I was like, wait a minute, she shouldn't be doing that.
Yes.
So I was like rewriting the ending in my head. I'm like, no, that's not what's supposed to happen here. She's not ready. So, it tickles me now just talking about it with you. But, I wonder, was she really ready for that? And then Fatima, and CJ was kind of like, blowing off a little bit. No, you got to wait. You got to work for it. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, she's got to work for it. Not to give the end away, but yeah, they kiss, and then CJ is kind of like, no, you come to me when all this is worked out. So they kind of go good together. At the end, CJ's not forcing the issue.
I think that touched on a lot of different issues, and I think that anybody who's been there can relate to that. So I think that's really a great story, and that we kind of get her emotional journey, as we kind of read. She's still not there yet, but we see that she wants to try to get beyond where she is right now. CJ may or may not be able to help her with that. But she definitely wants to get there. So.
A lot of the times, either we rush it too soon, or we don't, we don't even acknowledge that we're still in pain, or that we're still, working through some stuff. And so, yeah, she wants to get there, but she knows that she's not quite where she needs to be yet.
I want to kind of segue into Dark of the Berry, which is one of the stories written by you, featured in Let's Talk. And it's interesting because anyone who's listening, once you read these stories, the two characters in Get At Me, Fatima and CJ, are completely different than the two characters in Dark and Berry. I mean, we were just talking about characters who probably shouldn't have been together. There's the reservations, there's the past, there's the hurt and the pain, but completely different in Dark and Berry. I mean, these are two women who know what they want and they're going to get it right. So, yes, I just love that. I love just, how you can read one short story and it's completely something different than the next one you're going to read. But, yes, so let's talk about Dark and Berry, because I'm telling you, I'm excited about it, and I'm telling everybody now there's a little twist in there, which you won't give away. There's a little twist. But, I'm going to tell you, you read a character sometimes, you're just like, I want to meet that person, and I want to meet Chanda.
You want to meet Chanda?
Yes. I would love to meet Chanda. And I feel so sorry for Sarah. Don't you just feel sorry? So sorry for her. Oh, my God.
She's young. Sarah is young, and she's not on the level.
Right. You read a story, and you're always looking for that person who you can identify with, but not just kind of like to root for them, but because you just feel bad for them. Not to pity Sarah. I don't want to pity her, but she was just one of those people. But yes, I really love this story, and I really love how you submitted your second story in the Let's Talk anthology. It's Two Moons, and it's so different than Dark of the Berry. I just loved it.
With Two Moons, I was a little nervous to submit that. That story kind of just wrote itself. It kind of fell out, and I was going back over it. I had a few people read over it to make sure things were making sense, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. And I was a little intimidated to submit that because Dark of the Berry was so different. But in the end, I'm very happy with Two Moons.
Right. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think that, you bring something, especially with Two Moons, you bring something to the anthology that a lot of times some writers don't explore it. And that's not to say writers aren't writing about that kind of genre where you delve into kind of fantasy, I don't know if I should say supernatural, but if you're writing it, you have to put it out there and you have to share it with other people too. So I think it works really well. So between Get At Me, Genesis Do-Over, Dr. Berry, and Two Moons, and this is probably going to become my staple question on this show, and I don't, that's okay. But where can we find you in these stories?
Oh, wow. I would probably have to say Two Moons. I think I have a lot in common with Celine. The character Celine, she's gazing up at the moon. She knows there's something greater for her. Her feet are not on the ground at all, but she's still wonderful and true to herself, and she doesn't let anybody get in her way. I think I'm gazing up at the moon. Just trying to figure things out. That's me. I think my character would most resemble Celine.
That's interesting. And just to give a little background, Celine is a character who in the story we kind of grow up with her. And she has I don't want to just limit it to an infatuation, but she loves the moon. She loves the moon. So I think it's really interesting that you identify with that character.
She loves the moon. She is a part of the moon. It's not just a phase. It is very much a part of her. Ooh, you got me. Yeah.
That was a gotcha question. But I think this Two Moons, and I think there's another story in the collection that I won't talk about since I don't think we've had that guest yet. It's speculative fiction. This is in the genre of Octavia Butler and folks like that.
Right.
So, I don't think that there, and I know I can't say that you shouldn't have been afraid, but I think that, you sit right nicely with that tradition of writers, black writers. So, I would not be fearful of that because, folks like Tanner Reeves Dew and even Joe Gomez, the good stories, and some of these other stories that are not necessarily of this world, but not necessarily supernatural, but a little bit of fantasy, not quite science fiction, but speculative fiction. There's something there, and I think that this is a genre that belongs to us in a way, that it's a lot of black folks that are doing that. And so I think that story fits perfectly right there.
That makes me feel so good. That makes me feel so good. I don't know why. I had already submitted a story to you guys, and I'm looking at this story, and my friend, she proofread for me, and she was like, "This is really good," and I'm just thinking, "Nope, I'm crazy. I'm losing," But I'm so glad you said that. That makes me feel so good. It was fun to write. It was emotional to write. It was trippy to write. The little star Esme, she's spinning around and doing all this stuff, and I was like, this is fun, And I love this genre, and I love the places you can go with this kind of speculative, kind of real, not real aspect of the story, definitely.
Tell me a little bit about why contributing to Let's Talk was important for you.
Every once in a while, an anthology will come out, and it's good, and it's it's got the different aspects of different writers in it, but very rarely there are women of color writers, lesbian writers who get a chance to tell their story. And it's so important. People throw around, diversity this and diversity that. But the fact of the matter is those diverse stories, really diverse stories, aren't making it to the top of the pile. Wonderful writers are struggling and writing for years and years and years, and people are just passing them by because they're not getting that recognition. They're not getting to the forefront. And being in this collection, when I saw the call for submission, I was just like, oh, my sweet gherkins, I have to submit a story.
Oh, my God, I love that.
I have to be a part of this. we have to support each other, and we have to make it so that our voices are being heard. I've read the call to submission so many times, and actually I think I missed it the first time. Like I was writing, and I was like, this is not going to be done, and I was like, oh, I missed the deadline, and then a miracle happened, and I think the deadline was extended. And I was just like, I don't care. I'm taking off work. I don't care what I have to do, but I'm finishing this story. And I'm submitting this story. And it was just like, I remember sitting at my desk at work, and I was like, oh, my God, the deadline got extended. Everybody get out of my way. And I was like, typing my full fingers off, trying to make sure that I finished, that first story, because I knew it was going to be amazing. We have to support each other and give each other the encouragement that we need, and this anthology is going to do that. It's going to be huge. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. It makes me feel so much like pride and just so much happiness to know that a Black lesbian anthology is going to be out in 2016. That's amazing.
Thank you for that. Excited. We're very excited.
So
I can't wait for it out either. I think there's so many good stories there, and I think Lo and I were talking a while back, and there are very few Black lesbian anthologies. I think I can name them on one hand. So I think one a decade.
One a decade just to get one.
It's my goal in life for us to do this more. To do more of this work. I just think that we have stories to tell, and that we need to tell them. And if folks don't want to publish us, we can figure out how to do it ourselves. So tell everybody where they can find you, so that if they want to kind of download your work or read it, they can find you.
Okay. Let's see. I am on Twitter at author K.A. Smith. You can read my blog at www.authorka.wordpress.com, or you can email me at authorkasmith at gmail.com. I almost forgot my own email. But that's me. And I've got several short stories on Amazon. So just type in K.A. Smith, and I should pop up. And feel free to email me. I love getting reader emails and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the talk tonight. This has been a great conversation, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. You ladies are so fun. Thank you so much for having me on.